Welcome back. It's Monday and time for Law 101. I'm Rob Levine from Rob Levine Associates. So we're going to be talking about the definition of negligence. Negligence is broken down into 4 topics: duty, breach, causation, and damages. There's no way for me to talk about duty, breach, causation, damages in a reasonable amount of time that you're going to want to watch. So we're going to break it down. So this week we're going to do duty, next week we're going to do breach, the following week causation, and then damages, and then we'll wrap it up and tie it all together. Okay, so let's talk about what negligence really means. So negligence means that another person, the defendant, is responsible for your injuries. So to win a personal injury claim, we have to prove, obviously, that someone else is responsible, that the defendant was negligent. They caused your damages. That's the first hurdle to get over in a personal injury claim. And then obviously you have to prove your injuries and the value of those injuries. So, duty, what does that mean? So it means that the defendant owes you a duty of reasonable care. They have to act and protect you from doing things that would cause harm or injuries to you. So the simplest would be, let's say, a motor vehicle accident. So when you get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle and you start driving, you're responsible for following all the laws that exist in the state to make sure that you're operating that car in a safe manner. When you operate the car negligently and you violate a law, first of all, you're considered per se negligent, which means you've violated a statute, you've violated the law, so you're automatically negligent. The next example would be a shopkeeper, an owner of a piece of property, anything that causes you an injury in someone else's property. So they owe you a duty to anyone who comes to visit their property has to be able to come there free of injury. So you have to have safe passage. If you live there, if you have guests come to visit you, people who are delivering to the property, in a shopping mall, people who are coming to the shopping mall, even just walking around. In Rhode Island, we have an exception to that, and that's trespassers. No duty is owed to trespassers in Rhode Island. Everywhere else in the country, there's a duty. Sometimes it's limited, but there's a duty to trespassers. So how do we measure the duty? How do we make sure that that owner of the property is following a standard that we consider as acceptable? So we measure it by the RPP standard, reasonable, prudent person. If we look at a Stop and Shop, for instance, and the owner of the Stop and Shop, the general manager and the people who work there, are they following the reasonable, prudent person for someone who owns a store? So for instance, they have a duty to check the aisles, keep the aisles clear to make sure that when you're walking through the store, you don't trip and fall on something on the ground. If they don't check the aisles and make sure they're clear, or they wait 3 hours to check the aisle, they're not acting reasonably. It's not the reasonable, prudent person standard. So they didn't follow their duty, and they would have breached that duty, which is going to be the next topic that we talk about next week. The things that we have to prove to say they weren't within the reasonable, prudent person standard. So that covers duty, and that's all you really need to know for this week. I hope you had a great time listening. Remember, next week will be breach, then causation, then damages. If you like what you hear, like us, follow us on Facebook, and share. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Monday, same time, same place.